Welcome back to 30 at 6 on Cecil TV. Last year, Bob Bashore introduced us to a group called No Labels. It's a national political organization that promotes leadership that pushes back against extreme factions in our political climate, and also encourages leadership that will come to the center when it's the best decision for the American people. Bob, thanks for being here.
Great to be here. Thank you, Allison.
So it was a year ago that you first came to talk to us about No Labels. What have you guys been up to?
Well, there's been a lot behind the scenes. It's a growing organization. It's grassroots. We are in all 50 states. We have leaders in all states. We have leaders in Maryland. We have leaders in every district in Maryland. You don't hear a lot about No Labels on the news. You kind of have to look for it.
Right.
It's a little bit under the radar.
It's not scandalous enough.
No, well, that's very true. When you're centrist, you're not as controversial, so you might not get as much airplay.
Right.
And that's part of what we're trying to work on. So we're very active, but as I said, a lot of it's behind the scenes, and that's where a lot of the exciting stuff is happening right now.
Right.
And your viewers, when we're through, they'll hear a couple things that they might be privy to that they're going to see come to fruition, say, after the midterms. That's very exciting stuff.
Right. Tell us about the Problem Solvers Caucus.
Well, the Problem Solvers Caucus is a group of Congress people in the House that was inspired by No Labels. This is one of those behind the scenes things that there's a lot of. Our national headquarters is in DC, where all the action is. We have relationships with most legislators. They're all aware of us now. A couple years ago, I might not have been able to say that.
Right.
And we're becoming more and more of a factor, and people are paying more attention, again, more behind the scenes. So what happened is about a couple of years ago, Problem Solvers started as a group of bipartisan legislators, Republican, Democrat, and Independent. So it's truly bipartisan. And what has happened is, in the last year that's exciting, is this group has really found its own. It's coming up, it's grown since last year, all the way up to 48 members of this caucus. It's a caucus, similar to Freedom Caucus and the Black Caucus and so forth. So, but what's wonderful about this is it's bipartisan. So 48 members is a powerful block in Congress if it's used correctly, if it is in the right situation. So what they've been doing with all the craziness in Washington and all, there's still the gridlock, there's still the shouting and the lack of civility and the extreme partisanship. I think it's energized them even more. Now, since we've had all the debacles with health care, immigration, infrastructure, things that just aren't getting done, gun safety, they've come up and crafted very high quality bipartisan legislation that they would vote on as a bloc. And this would truly be solutions for the majority of Americans. And it is a solution for the majority of legislators. And that's where we are now.
So tell us about the procedural barriers that the problem solvers have encountered and what they're trying to solve through the Break the Gridlock.
Great question. That is where we are. That's why they're more energized, because this is a quality group of people who are, fighting against the current. They don't get the airplay because it's not as interesting to the Foxes and the CNNs and so forth. But they are more and more if you watch. But they're frustrated now because they've crafted this wonderful legislation, and they're not able to even get it to the floor.
And why is that?
Well, you have rules in Congress, committee rules, closure rules, these sort of things that the party in control, whether it's Democrats or Republicans, especially in the last 10 years, they tend to block legislation that their party does not want to have a vote on, which means it stays partisan and wonderful ideas never come to the surface,
Right.
never get discussed, not even discussed in committee. So that's the problem. The rules in Congress at the highest levels, going up to the Speaker, have developed in a bad way.
Mm-hmm.
So the Speaker has too much power and is too controlled by his extreme wings of the party.
Right.
No Labels started what we call the Speakers Project
Mm-hmm.
in-house, and eventually, as they inspired the problem solvers, they inspired the problem solvers to come up with their own program called Break the Gridlock,
Right.
which is a very cool, interesting, powerful, bold attempt to change things in Washington. So I'm hoping your viewers will take a look at this. This truly is one of the major things that could make some fascinating changes and break this trend.
Why is this important for people who are far removed from the goings-on in the Capitol building? Why is this important for people, for our viewers here in Cecil County?
Well, because, we're all U.S. citizens.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our own legislators local, and we're all in District 1.
Yep.
Currently, Andy Harris is our representative.
Mm-hmm.
We have midterms happening now. We have Jesse Colvin now, who's been nominated on the Democratic side.
Right.
So we're all interested in that. If you have any interest at all in politics and policy and things that affect your family, your children, the future of the country. And really, the popularity of Congress, I think is it in the teens?
I think so.
I think it's something like that, which to me says about 80% of the population doesn't like what Congress is doing. So folks in Cecil County, if you're in that category, pay attention, and you can make a difference by wanting this from your legislator.
Mm-hmm. And how can our viewers learn more?
Well, you can always go to nolabels.org,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a ton of information about our organization. You can join. It costs almost nothing. You get a wealth of information. I suggest you go Google Break the Gridlock,
Okay.
which is the group of legislatures program. It's 10 proposals
Mm-hmm.
to actually make these changes, and it will limit the power of the Speaker to control so much so that great quality legislation cannot even come to the surface.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course.